Hey guys, James Wilson Taylor here for Rock Sound. It's the latest of our video calls. We're chatting to everybody direct from home, and I'm delighted to say from Spiritbox, we've got Courtney on the line. How are you, Courtney?
Hi. Every time I talk to you, I'm in some room that I'm trying to make look professional, but I'm just
I mean, right back
trying
at
to
you.
cram, and
I
then
mean, come on.
everything else around me is just like chaos. But one of these days, like we'll do this when I'm in my little aesthetically pleasing area.
Well, we'll get loads of blue lighting. It'll work really, really
Mm.
well. It'll be a nice extra effect. Well, we should say, congratulations. I mean, it's finally out there in the world. What an exciting week this must be for all you guys to finally have the album out there. Let's start there. Talk to me about release day. Looked like one of the most brilliant looking record release parties I've seen in a long time as well. How was all that for you?
Yeah, that was really cool. It was really cool to see like all the people that work for us behind the scenes who they chose to invite to that, and people that have influenced their lives or we've heard about, and kind of just seeing them all congregate. And as the band, you're the ones that get all the messages of positivity, but the people that work for you are usually a lot more they're thankless and anonymous. So it was cool to see them running around having fun. And I had a great time. But honestly, I'm just happy for this album to be out, because I can't stand how hyped up everything got. It was too much. It was too much. I didn't I just was just trying to show up for work, and it was too much hype. So I'm happy for it to be out so it can just speak for itself instead of like people speculating about it.
Oh, sure. No, I get that. I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? It's so anticipated because you've done this great job of building this fandom and this community around it. Of course, they're going to all be excited, but
Yeah, it was
it
so
seems
cool.
it seems like a really lovely reception as well. And that is something actually we talked a little bit about last time we chatted with one of these was you were kind of saying that was number one ambition. It was finally being able to put this record that you'd obviously had finished for a minute as well, and you were ready and just hoping that finally the stars would align and be able to get it out there in the world. Sense of
Yeah.
relief now, I take it then, like you say, bit of a weight off the
A
shoulders. Does it
huge
feel
sense
like
of
now?
relief. That was, I think, one of the first few days that we had come back from recording it, and that feels like 3 years ago. You know what I mean? Like that feels like another lifetime ago. So um I'm just so happy to finally that like there's the weird transition. It's like your song, and then it becomes it's like my song, and then some weird thing happens and it's not my song anymore. It's hard to explain, but so now it's like they were held in like limbo for such a long time. So now I'm happy to get to that resolution part that I think most artists, that's why we are compelled to do this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, you're in that rare position as well. You've been very lucky. I've seen you've been able to get back on the live circuit a little bit. There's been some festivals and stuff out in the States, which is really, really exciting.
Yeah.
That's got to be an amazing thing as well. Not every band that's put out a record in the last year has had that chance yet to actually see the reactions face to face. That's got to be a whole new spin on these songs, right?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think every band's in the same boat, like looking at from that point of view. It's crazy, it's so strange. Like you're looking at these people and you can see it in their eyes, like people who don't know who you are, but they're just so happy to be watching live music. It's I've never I haven't done shows in years and years, 6 years. So or at least 2015 was the last time I went on a tour that like didn't get canceled. Um, but in my old band, so obviously I'm really out of the game. But I think even all the people that have been touring regularly and then had that on pause during the pandemic, I feel like I feel comfortable speaking on behalf of all people that perform, I guess. And then, I don't actually, but in this context, I think I can. Like, it's really positive. The feedback between the audience and the artist is like very special right now. I definitely want to like savor this for a bit. Everyone's no longer, I think, gonna take that for granted.
Yeah, everyone suddenly realized how much they missed it as well. I think I mean, both audience members and people on stage. And
Hmm.
but it's funny how we can speak for a lot of artists. I think in some ways because every single band I've spoken to recently has said took a minute to get back into it, took a minute to blow those cobwebs away. How was it for you guys actually getting those songs on the feet? Did it take a while to readjust again to that live experience?
It did, because we we haven't had a lot of time just because of geography to practice. And so um like today we're going to practice for the first time since the week before we went on the tour with Limp Bizkit, and I'm really excited to practice and like just work out all those things that you take for granted that just kind of naturally work themselves out. And so it's a lot to get back into. But it's the cool thing is, since it's been festivals that we've been kind of like relearning how to do this. Anytime anything goes wrong, which is every time, we're around tons of other people who've been doing this for their whole lives, and the same thing keeps coming up every time that we're freaking out, running around like with our heads cut off, just losing our minds. Everyone goes, look, this is how it is. This is live music. We've had it happen. We've had crazy things happen at bigger and better things. You just have to go out there and live in the moment. And so I'm really happy that it's been in a festival environment that we've been kind of breaking things back in, because we've gotten a lot of support from all the other people that have been doing this for their whole lives, and it makes me feel a little better about it, that I need to just focus and get out there as soon as the song starts playing. And I can't wait to do it again on Saturday on the 25th.
Man, it's exciting. No, it's nice. The community's back together. It's really, really cool to see all these kind of live events across the world at the minute. Let's get into the album then, shall we? A starting point, it may be cliches, but I love to ask everybody about album titles. I really, really do. It honestly fascinates me to see why people pick these phrases to sum up an era, even if it's taken from a lyric, taken from anything within their world. Eternal Blue, let's start right there. Why did this sum up this collection of songs for you guys?
Well, I was at work and I was listening to a podcast, and we hadn't started recording this yet, like just writing for it. But Michael had shown me some demo stuff that he had been working on, and I really liked the whole atmosphere of it. And I was listening to this podcast, and it was on like cybersecurity and computer viruses. And they started talking about one that was very unique because whoever used it, they like hijacked the Detroit DMV website, and which has everyone's driver's license information. It's very important to not get hacked. And it was the program was called Eternal Blue. And the second the person on that podcast said those words, we have a messaging system at work, and Michael and I work together. And I texted him and I was like, the album is called Eternal Blue. And that I just kind of use those things as like a writing prompt, so the album isn't about the cyber security and computer viruses, but that phrase just prompted me to use it without context to just create a little world for myself, which makes it just easier for me to write, and kind of takes some of the pressure off, because I can just focus on like looking at it like an assignment given to me, like, what is this Eternal Blue? What does this invoke in you? And I just heard it, and so the album's been named that for the lyrics existed for the songs.
Wow, that's a really unique perspective, actually, to use that kind of as a starting point. Is that always a kind of way you've worked, do you think? Do you like to work titles backwards, or have like a singular idea like that in mind and grow around it?
Well, I haven't made a lot of albums, and
Sure.
the other thing that Spiritbox done have been very uncreative. We just had a self-titled, and then the other thing we just called the singles EP. So I've had a lot of time to think about a good one, but normally naming stuff is the last and the least favorite part of the process, because I find that very hard. It's like if you're a parent and you name your baby, you're like, this baby's name is now here for the rest of its life. So I definitely want to make sure I name it a good name and I don't mess it up. So that's always, usually it's more, I maybe because I just didn't have any stress about it, because I just went with it. I didn't get stressed or scared, and none of us have ever questioned if we shouldn't name it that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. It's nice when there's just that agreement, and it does very much fit a mood, I have to say. I want to mention the kind of recording process and everything, because it feels like, I know you had some kind of home studio set up as well, right? Like how much of it was actually kind of ended up being recorded at home in that sort of process?
2 of the songs were recorded remotely last year because I just really wanted to put out some songs. Yeah. And I can't imagine if we hadn't put out Holy Roller or Constance until, a year and a half later, I would have been a very grumpy, sad gal. Um, but so we did those remotely. Michael engineered and Dan produced in real time, over Zoom, which is really cool. And then because we never knew when we were going to get to record together. It always kept going, okay, next month, okay, next month. And then a year and a half went by, until we could actually get together. And so, lots of songwriting up in Canada with Dan. He'd come in and we would just all work together. But everything else other than Holy Roller and Constance, we're all recorded in the desert in that little Airbnb. It was like a ranch in Joshua Tree, very remote.
Very evocative setting, I'd imagine, as well. As it's hard to not have an environment like that feed into what you write, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the at home, like, DIY-esque studio setup kind of added we just actually got to see Dan yesterday. We were all just talking about it. And he thinks that when he goes back and listens to just the stems and everything, he feels like there's a layer of dust over it. We were saying, it just sounds dusty. Respectfully, sounds dusty.
In a positive way, in a positive levels of dust. That's what we like. It's evocative. That's very good. I want to get into the music side of it. I mean, so much has been said about the album. I encourage people, by the way, if you've not yet picked up the cover issue with Spiritbox of Rock Sound, go and read it. Really, really fantastic interview in there. But I just found it so interesting listening to the record again. Now it's out there, that it's that blending of genres. And I know this gets talked about all the time with all kinds of artists, but particularly on a song like The Summit really sticks out for me, because that's a big, big mixing of those heavier sounds, from those darker sounds and evocative, that's in that kind of sense. But there's a real pop sensibility to that songwriting as well. There's a real melodic kind of sense coming through. I guess talk to me a little bit about balancing of ideas, I suppose. How is that process in terms of how you approach genre in that way?
Like, the songs they just go where they go. Like, they just, I sometimes I'm there when Michael's making them. Sometimes he presents a riff or a full, maybe half a song all at once. Like, he'll go right, and then he'll excitedly come out and show me what he's been working on. After, he likes to show like the full package. Like, so if I don't normally hear it until he's written like guitar, bass, and then like some drums, like some, to present it to me properly, so I can get the full effect. But sometimes I've gotten to watch him do it in real time with Dan, and because I think he's there with having someone support him and not just having to click all the buttons himself, and he can actually just focus on writing. It kind of like, it's really cool to watch. They just they have like this mind meld, and I think he writes like that by himself as well, where like the song just keeps going where it goes, and they almost like stop. We've been watching a lot of footage from it, and they almost like stop talking, and they just like point and go, yeah, that, and you feel like you gotta like back away slowly and don't interrupt this really cool thing going on. So I think I don't want to speak for Michael, but I think that he just lets the song go where it goes and not really get so stressed out about. It's weird because I feel like our songs they have a formula, but not like in a contrived sense where we're like, well, we have to have a breakdown, and we have to have a build up, and we have to have a lot more than have a guitar solo. Like, I think that not having to worry about that just kind of leads you to just make sure everything sounds solid by itself, and then the sum of its parts are good too.
I mean, it's a difficult balance to manage, though, because it is, like I say, you're hitting off loads of different genres within there, often within the same song to great effect. But it's a very coherent album. It really, really sounds like you guys. It sounds like Eternal Blue. I can understand why you picked that as a phrase. It really does kind of sum up a record, and it really kind of fits under one theme, under one umbrella like that. Were there any kind of central influence points, or any kind of points that you were really hanging everything around to keep it coherent in that way?
Just like whether it's a Weekend song or a Tears for Fears song or a Deftones song, if we ever just needed some inspiration and we then would reference artists that really appreciate. The main thing throughout all of it was just those songs having a, a darkness or heaviness to them, regardless of the genre. And I think that, especially for myself, like that's really like the atmosphere of songs is what really inspires me. And so I think that's probably why they all feel like, even though there's a lot of variation in them, I think that's why they feel like they were a unified piece of work, is just because they were all written in really concentrated chunk of time, and like a specific moment in time in our life, and reflect what influenced us right now and in that time. But it's weird when you look back, because a lot of that's old. It's some of it was written at the same time as stuff that we put out in 2019. So it's, you never know that, like, something that is really resonates with you 2.5 years ago, will it resonate 2.5 years, 3 years later? And I am very happy that it really does for me, and I can't wait to keep just absolutely pounding these songs into everyone's heads for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? I can't wait to just punish all of you with just hearing these songs forever and ever and ever on stage. I'm really excited to play them. So I'm really happy I feel that way, because that's always, you just don't know until it comes out, if you're going to keep breathing like inspiration from it into your, into the rest of your career. So I'm really happy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point to make, because as I alluded to before, last time we spoke, this was the main aim. It was I asked you flat out, what are the aims moving forward, and you're like, album, album, album. Now that it is out there, I mean, are we just hitting the ground running with more new music, or are there, I mean, I guess live shows got to be a big aim, I would imagine, over the next year too.
Oh God, we were talking about that yesterday too. We were just like trying to think of even like fathoming going back to the drawing board and writing again. And right now, mentally, like, I feel like we're a little bit tapped out. And now it's like, I think this is the time when bands rally and like get back to it. So I think now we need to prove ourselves that we can play live. And I want to, I want people to be like, oh God, they're back to our town again. They were here. They were just here. Like, get it. I can't make it tonight. I have a dentist appointment tomorrow, and I gotta get up early. Like, I would love for that to be reality, because we've all been like deprived of that for such a long time. So I think that's what we need to focus on. That I want to tour and gain that experience and become a better performer and a better musician. And you can practice by yourself in the studio, or in my case, I've often practiced in my closet in our little music area of our condo. So, I can stand there and practice in my closet and shout at all my wardrobe stuff from music videos all I want. But like, the experience of playing shows is what I'm really interested in right now.
Yeah, it's going to be huge. Now, we can't wait to see you guys over here in the UK whenever that happens. Hoping sooner rather than later, obviously. Looking more positive today, actually, in the news. It looks like travel things maybe starting to come back. Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed we'll get you guys over here. And when we do, one thing I would definitely love to see at some point, and seeing you guys playing live, you do, of course, have one of our own on the record. We've got to mention Sam, because what a wonderful little collab that is. What a legend. Oh, dude.
Every time I think about that, every time I listen to that song, I think about being like, I envision being on stage at a big festival, but like at one of the stages, I always see one of the stages that has like a tent over it. So not like the big main stage, but like the other stage that's still cool, that has like a tent over it. And then I imagine all these people cramming in the tent, and then we're like, Sam, don't tell anyone you're here at this festival. And then we start playing that song, and everyone's like, are they gonna, or they don't even know the song, but they're like, this sounds cool. And then after a minute, then he like does a grand entrance, and he walks out while singing, and then we just have this big giant, friendship extravaganza, and we perform the song. And then I get to take a little break because he sings a lot. So I'm gonna go over and like drink water and I'm be like, Sam, just do your thing, buddy. I sing a lot on it too, but it's more like a weird robot talking a lot. So that's way easier. So Sam can help me gain back my breath. So that's like, every time I hear it, I think of that.
It's like a good piece of advice for any up and coming bands there. If you're going to do a collab, guys, make sure it's in a nice section where you can take a little bit of a chill moment on stage. It's very, very smart move there. Very, very clever. Preserving that voice. I respect that.
Yes, it's all part of my plan.
Exactly. You've got to have a plan. It makes sense. Courtney, it's always such a joy to talk to you. Congratulations on this record. It really, really is so, so great. Congrats on all the success. And like I say, we really, really look forward to seeing you guys over here in the UK when that's allowed. But in the meantime, love to you and the guys, and take care of yourselves out there. All right.
Thank you. We're so happy to talk to you guys. It's very what's the word? It's very like symbolic, because you guys were the first ones to ever print a photo of us. And it was a photo of me, Bill, and Michael, and Kyle, our best friend who shoots a lot of our photography. That was his first thing ever, magazine. So we ordered that magazine, online. It's a very big deal to us. So that to have it physically in print. And then it was so cool to then, like 2 years later, or like 3 years later, have that same magazine allow, cover story of us. And that's shot by the same guy, Kyle. And we put a lot of work into it, the photo shoot. So Rock Sound that's always going to be like a very symbolic thing for me, to have those two features side by side, and the issue numbers are not really that far apart, which is something that I'm very, very appreciative of.
Yeah, no, Mag Team did an incredible job on that one. It's great to see that journey and great to be a little part of it. Absolutely. All right. Take care of yourself, Courtney. Appreciate you.
Next time I see you, I'll be in my cool studio.
That's a promise now. I'll still be here, but
Or next time I see you, I'll be like off stage, like shooting off emails while Sam is doing his thing.
Right. I'll chat to you next time during the Sam break. As we will call it. We will get you during the Sam break. I'm into that.
Yeah.
Nice one.
We'll see you soon.
All right. Chat to you soon now.